Welcome to Shatter.
Help me reach 5,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and leave your thoughts in the comments. It was a Thursday night when she said it, quietly, almost kindly. I just want space tonight. No argument. No explanation. Just that word, space. We were sitting in the kitchen, lights low, her phone face down beside her half-empty Starbucks cup. I remember the faint sound of notifications vibrating against the marble counter. She didn't look up. She didn't need to. That word had already built a wall between us. I watched her for a second too long. The reflection of her screen flashed across her eyes, someone's name lighting up again and again. She turned the phone over, almost too late. My silence must have felt heavier than any question I could ask. She said she was tired. That work was intense. That her boss, Mark, had her leading a big campaign, and she needed to breathe. Funny thing about architects, we know when something's being built, and when something's being demolished. I held her one last time that night. Not like a husband, not like a man begging to stay. Just long enough to remember the weight of her before she became a stranger. She exhaled against my shoulder, soft, detached, like she was already gone. When she went to bed, I stayed in the living room. No TV, no sound, just the hum of the fridge and the glow of her iPhone charging by the counter. I stared at the Ford F-150 parked in the driveway through the window. It looked like a memory frozen in the dark. That night, something in me shifted. Architects design with precision, but nothing prepares you for watching your own house collapse, slowly, silently, from the inside out. I didn't check her phone. I didn't follow her online. But I noticed patterns, late texts, early mornings, the perfume that didn't belong to me. At first, I thought I was imagining it. Then I saw her reflection in the window one night, smiling at a message, her face lit blue by the screen. That glow used to be mine. I didn't confront her. I didn't ask questions. I just started measuring the silence between us. Every word she didn't say became another brick in the wall she built. That's the thing about space. It's not empty. It's full of everything you refuse to face. By the time she fell asleep, I'd already made my decision. I'd make her coffee in the morning, just like always. I'd go to work, finish my project early, and when I came home, I wouldn't. She wanted space. She'd get all of it. Friday mornings always used to feel like rhythm. Coffee brewing, her hair tied up, the quiet shuffle of two people who still shared the same map of life. That morning, it felt staged. Like two strangers rehearsing a scene they'd already agreed to end. I poured her coffee, set the mug beside her as she scrolled through her iPhone. She smiled without looking up, a polite reflex, not warmth. She wore that new perfume again, something faint and sharp, the kind people notice when they're trying to be noticed. She said she'd be late that night. Team dinner, she mentioned, her voice light. I nodded, and she kissed me on the cheek like she was signing off an email. By the time the front door closed, I already knew she wasn't coming home for dinner. I drove to the firm, turned in the final blueprints for a project I'd been perfecting for months. My supervisor looked surprised. "You're ahead of schedule," he said. I just smiled. Deadlines lose meaning when your personal life already expired. Around noon, I stopped by Target for a few things I didn't need. Toothpaste, paper towels, distraction. I walked the aisles thinking about how easily people rebuild after storms. Just restock and move on. But this wasn't a storm. It was erosion. Slow, steady, silent. By evening, I sat in my car outside her agency. The lights from the office windows made the place look alive, buzzing with late ambition. Through the glass, I saw her laughing at something her boss said. Mark, mid-50s, expensive confidence, the kind of man who talks with his hands and believes every word is a gift. She leaned in closer than she needed to. Not flirtation, deference, a performance she didn't know I was watching. I didn't feel anger, just clarity. The kind architects get when they see the flaw in a design they can't fix. I stayed there until the lights went off, until they walked out together, his hand low on her back, guiding her through the door. I watched her look up at him the way she used to look at me, curious, open, wanting to be seen. Then I started the car. No calls, no confrontation. Just the steady sound of the engine under the weight of everything I wasn't saying. When I got home, her side of the bed was untouched, smooth, deliberate. She hadn't even tried to fake it. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, realizing the silence between us had become permanent architecture. something designed to last. By the time she returned in the morning, the house would already be empty. The keys would be on the counter. My phone off. My name gone from every traceable map. She asked for space, and I was about to give her more than she could handle. I woke up before sunrise. The house was silent, but not the kind of silence that rests. This one hummed with absence, with everything that used to live between our walls. I made coffee, 1 cup instead of 2. The sound of it dripping filled the kitchen, steady and final. Her mug sat where it always did, waiting, like the house didn't know we were done pretending. I left the keys on the counter beside it. My wallet, my ring, the little notepad I used to sketch designs on. The last drawing I made was of a bridge, clean lines, balanced symmetry, something that holds weight without collapsing. Maybe I was building a metaphor for us without realizing it. When I stepped outside, the air was cold. The morning light cut through the fog, the way truth cuts through denial. I started the car, watched the rearview mirror for a moment, and then I just left. No message, no forwarding address, no noise. Driving felt like breathing again. I passed the same Target we used to shop at on Sundays, the same Starbucks where she'd order iced coffee and scroll through Amazon while I waited in silence. I didn't hate those places. I just realized how much life we'd wasted performing normal. I crossed state lines by noon. I didn't have a plan, just motion. I turned off my iPhone, disconnected every app, every location, every trace. If she tried to find me, all she'd see was nothing. A flat line on the map where I used to exist. Around sunset, I stopped at a small motel near a construction site. The place smelled of concrete, dust, and rain. The clerk didn't ask questions. I didn't offer answers. I sat on the edge of the bed, still in my work clothes, and for the first time in months, the quiet didn't hurt. It just was. I thought about her then, not as my wife, not even as a woman I'd lost. Just as someone orbiting a life she couldn't see was already collapsing. She'd wake up to coffee still warm, a bed still made, and realize she wasn't abandoned. She was left behind. That night, I deleted every photo of us from my phone. Not out of anger, but necessity. Architects know, when a structure's foundation cracks, you don't patch it. You rebuild somewhere else. And that's what I was doing. Disappearing wasn't an escape. It was design. By the second morning, the world had already started to forget me. My phone stayed dark on the nightstand, and the noise of other lives became background static. The motel's walls were thin. I could hear a truck engine starting outside, the low hum of workers heading out before sunrise. It felt right to be surrounded by motion I didn't have to join. I spent the morning driving again, through small towns and gas stations that all looked the same. There's a strange peace in being anonymous. No one asked where I was from or who I belonged to. I wasn't anyone's husband here, just a man refueling, both the car and himself. Somewhere outside Nashville, I stopped at a diner that smelled like burnt coffee and grease. The waitress called everyone honey, and the regulars talked about football and weather. It was the kind of place that didn't care who you used to be. I sat by the window, ordered black coffee, and thought about how easy it is to disappear when you stop trying to be seen. I caught my reflection in the glass. I looked older, maybe harder, but there was something clean in that face. No performance, no effort to appear fine. Just a man stripped of everything unnecessary. Around noon, I pulled into a rest stop and checked my email for the first time. Dozens of missed calls. A few messages from her. Where are you? Please answer. Then silence. She'd stopped trying after a day. That told me everything I needed to know. Her panic wasn't love, it was exposure. She wasn't afraid of losing me. She was afraid people would see that she had. I imagined her in that bright office, pretending nothing was wrong. Mark probably offered her a soft shoulder, the illusion of stability. I knew the type. He'd already moved on in his mind, calculating the next story to tell. People like him don't love, they recruit. By evening, I'd found a small cabin for rent near a construction site on Facebook Marketplace. Cheap, quiet, temporary. I paid cash, no records. The view overlooked a river and half-finished homes, skeletons of futures being built. That night, I sat on the porch with a notebook, sketching again. Lines, symmetry, control. The moon reflected off the water like blue glass, and I realized something. She wasn't my loss. She was my blueprint for everything I'd outgrown. She said she needed space. I gave her an entire horizon. Weeks passed before I spoke to anyone who actually knew my name. Life reduced itself to essentials: coffee, work, quiet. I picked up contract jobs on construction sites, drafting plans for people who didn't care about my past. I liked that. The anonymity. The discipline. I was rebuilding myself one blueprint at a time. Sometimes, when I drive back from town, I'd stop by a Walmart on the edge of the highway. It was the same every visit: fluorescent lights, slow-moving carts, couples arguing over cereal. I'd stand there watching them and realize how far I'd drifted from the noise of ordinary life. I didn't miss it. Not anymore. I heard through a former coworker that her agency had landed a massive campaign, the kind that makes careers. Her name was mentioned in the article, right under Mark's creative partnership, the headline said. The words made my chest tighten for a second, not from pain, but recognition. She'd done it. She'd traded permanence for exposure. That night, curiosity won. I opened my laptop and searched the agency's press release. The photo hit harder than I expected. Her in a black dress, smiling too brightly under studio lights, his hand on her shoulder. They looked rehearsed, like actors playing a version of success. I studied the image like a project plan, analyzing composition and structure. I noticed her eyes, the small tension in her jaw, the distance between her body and his. It wasn't comfort. It was performance. She was already realizing what I had months before. Attention isn't affection. The next day, I sent an anonymous tip to a financial columnist I'd once met during a corporate build. Just numbers, small irregularities buried in the agency's recent tax filings. Not revenge, just alignment. Architects don't destroy, they correct design flaws. Within a week, the news broke that the agency's leadership was under review for accounting inconsistencies. The story spread fast, swallowing reputations whole. Her boss went silent online. She deactivated her profiles for a while. I didn't smile. I didn't feel triumph. Just a quiet certainty that equilibrium always finds its way back. That night, sitting in the truck, I stared at my reflection in the windshield. I'd become the thing I was always meant to be: unreachable, self-contained, precise. Somewhere in the city, she was learning what silence really sounds like when no one's there to fill it. She wanted freedom. Now she'd find out what it costs. It didn't take long for the ripple to reach her. News travels fast when people feed on spectacle. The agency's reputation cracked open in public, headlines stacking like unfinished walls. I didn't need to watch it unfold, but I did. Quietly. Detached. A week later, I saw her face on a LinkedIn post someone shared. The caption was short: taking time off to reflect. That's corporate code for damage control. She'd gone from spotlight to shadow in a single headline. I imagined her apartment, the half-open blinds, the silence that replaces constant validation. She was probably pacing, rehearsing explanations no one asked for. The boss who promised to guide her was already protecting himself, deleting traces, rewriting history. He wouldn't take her down with him. He'd let her fall alone. I spent those days in motion, early mornings, late nights, drawing up plans for a new development outside the city. It was simple work, clean, repetitive. My hands were steady again. I'd stopped looking back. One evening, I drove into town and parked near a Waffle House. The air smelled of rain and asphalt. I sat inside, ordered eggs and black coffee, and watched the people around me. Truckers, night shift nurses, lives still moving forward. For the first time, I realized I wasn't haunted anymore. I was free. When I got back to the cabin, there were messages waiting in the inbox I barely checked. Her name in bold. No subject line. Just fragments. I don't know where you went. You don't have to hate me. Please say something. I didn't. Not out of cruelty. Out of clarity. Words had already failed us long before silence ever did. Days passed, and the tone of her messages changed, from pleading to empty updates, like she was writing into a void just to hear herself echo. Then one arrived late at night. You won't even let me apologize. I stared at it for a long time. Apologies are for people who want to feel clean. I wanted to stay untouched. Outside, the river reflected the moon again, calm and endless. Somewhere far away, her world was collapsing, but mine had become beautifully quiet. She once said I was too still, too silent. She didn't understand that some men don't disappear to be found. They disappear to become whole again. And by the time she reached for me, there was nothing left to reach. Months passed before I saw her again, though technically, she didn't see me. It happened by accident, or maybe not. I'd taken a job designing the interior for a new co-working space downtown. The firm I was consulting for shared a building with several creative agencies. One afternoon, while I was reviewing floor plans, I noticed a familiar voice echo through the lobby. It was her. Same tone, same rhythm, but thinner now, like confidence worn down by sleepless nights. She was talking to someone at reception, trying too hard to sound composed. I didn't move. I stayed behind the glass wall, invisible. Her hair was shorter, her frame smaller, her posture heavier. There was no sparkle in her expression, just that distant fatigue people get when they've lost the audience they built themselves around. The receptionist mentioned her agency had closed. She was freelancing now, rebranding. I almost smiled at the word. Rebranding. That's what people say when they're trying to outgrow their own consequences. She stepped outside and lit a cigarette, something she never used to do. I watched her reflection in the glass. She looked around, like she could sense something was off, like maybe she felt my absence pressing against the air. For a second, she froze, searching the crowd. But there was no one to find. Not anymore. Later that night, she emailed me again. I saw a truck today that looked like yours. Just that. No question mark. No apology this time. Just memory disguised as coincidence. I didn't reply. Some echoes aren't meant to be answered. I kept working. The project came together fast. Clean lines, open space, balance. The kind of place that invited quiet. The irony didn't escape me. I was designing a space for people to feel seen, while she was wandering through a world that no longer looked back at her. That weekend, I drove past our old neighborhood. The house looked the same, but smaller. Through the front window, I saw a real estate sign. She was selling it. The home we built, the one that used to hold our laughter, now staged for strangers. I parked across the street for a while, engine off, headlights dim. She came out with a realtor, smiling politely, trying to sound optimistic. The mask fit, but not the eyes. When she closed the door behind her, I drove away. She'd finally learned what distance feels like when it's real. I didn't need revenge. She was living in it. It was almost a year before her name stopped showing up in my inbox. But even silence has weight. I could still feel her hovering between regret and pride, trying to rewrite the story in her head. She wasn't cruel. She was careless. And carelessness has a longer echo than hate. I'd settled into a rhythm again. Work, coffee, late nights sketching designs by lamplight. My life was smaller, but precise. I rented a new place closer to the firm, clean, modern, facing the river. No clutter, no reminders, just glass, steel, and quiet. One Friday afternoon, I got a message from an old friend who still worked in advertising. He said he'd run into her at a conference. She looks lost, he wrote, like she's waiting for someone who already left the building. I didn't answer. There was nothing to add. That weekend, I stopped by the same Starbucks she used to love, the one near her old office. It wasn't nostalgia, it was closure. I sat in the corner, ordered black coffee, and watched the people move. Then I saw her. She walked in wearing a gray coat, hair pulled back, eyes tired but softer somehow. She ordered the same drink she always did, but this time, she didn't scroll through her phone. She just stood there, waiting, alone. For a moment, our eyes almost met in the reflection of the glass door. Almost. I stayed still, invisible behind the crowd. She looked around, as if expecting someone. When no one came, she sat down, took a slow sip, and just stared out the window. The same window where we once laughed about nothing at all. I realized then, she wasn't chasing me anymore. She was chasing who she used to be when she was with me. The calm, the certainty, the feeling of being seen without performing. And now, she was finally understanding what she traded that for. I waited until she left before standing up. On the table, she'd left her napkin behind, half-torn, folded perfectly, like a small symbol of what used to be order between us. I didn't take it. I just looked at it once and walked away. Some love stories don't end with words or closure. They end with a quiet understanding that someone finally learned what silence means. She asked for space, and I gave her an ocean. Time moved differently after that day. The more distance I put between us, the sharper everything became. I started noticing details again. The way light fell across unfinished walls, the geometry of silence in empty rooms. There's something about being broken that makes you see design everywhere. Work expanded, projects multiplied. My name started appearing on bigger contracts, the kind that used to intimidate me. People called it success, but for me, it was simply order, structure, a system built from the ruins of what once consumed me. Then, one evening, I got a letter. Not an email, not a message, an actual letter. My assistant handed it to me with a curious look. No return address. The handwriting was hers. Inside, just one page. She wrote that she'd sold the house, that she'd moved to a smaller place, that she'd started therapy. Then, at the end, one line, "I finally understand what you were trying to build." No apology, no plea, just that. A single recognition, years too late. I folded the letter, placed it back in the envelope, and left it on my desk. I didn't burn it, didn't throw it away. I just let it exist, like a memory you stop fighting to erase. That night, I walked by the river. The city lights reflected off the water, blurring into gold. Somewhere out there, she was learning to breathe in the quiet I once offered her. Maybe she hated it at first. Maybe now she found peace in it. I thought about the last time I held her, the last time her voice filled a room. Back then, I believed love was about staying, no matter how heavy it got. Now I knew better. Sometimes love is leaving so both people can finally see what they've done to each other. When I got home, I poured a drink, sat by the window, and watched the night shift move outside. Workers, late commuters, people still chasing something. For the first time, I wasn't chasing anything. The silence that used to feel like punishment had become my reward. It didn't hurt anymore. It just was. She used to tell me I built walls. Maybe she was right. But walls aren't prisons when you build them for peace. They're boundaries. And from where I was sitting, my walls finally felt like home. Months later, I saw her again, by coincidence or maybe inevitability. I was at a small art gallery downtown, one of those minimalist spaces where silence feels curated. My firm had designed part of the interior, so I went for the opening. I didn't expect her to be there, but she was. She stood across the room, her posture different, slower, grounded. The sharpness in her eyes had softened into something else, something real. She was talking to a client, smiling faintly, but it wasn't performance this time. It was quiet acceptance. When our eyes met, she froze, just for a second. Then she gave a small nod. Not the kind that asks for anything, but the kind that says she finally understood. There were no words, no scene, no drama. Just a pause in the noise of the room. Later, I stepped outside, the night air cool against my skin. She followed a few minutes after, her heels soft against the pavement. We stood there, a few feet apart, the city humming behind us. She didn't speak, but I could feel the apology in her silence. I finally said one thing, not to reopen anything, just to end it cleanly. I didn't disappear, I told her. I just stopped showing up where I wasn't respected. She nodded again, eyes glassy but steady. Then she said quietly, "I know." That was it. No promises, no closure disguised as nostalgia. Just two people standing in the same place for the first time, without pretending to be who they used to be. When I walked away, I didn't look back. I didn't need to. Whatever needed to be said had already happened in the spaces between our words. Driving home, the city lights blurred past the windshield. My phone buzzed once, an unknown number, then silence. I turned it face down on the seat and kept driving. Back at the apartment, I poured a glass of water and stood by the window. The skyline shimmered, still and endless. Somewhere, she was finding her footing again. Maybe that was the point all along. I wasn't the lesson she expected, but I was the line she couldn't cross twice. She said she needed space, and I gave her enough to find herself in it. That's the thing about silence. If you stay in it long enough, it stops being absence. It becomes clarity. Support the channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing. I promise even more interesting stories.